right now.
That's correct. So welcome to our regularly scheduled business meeting of the Leon County School Board. Today is June the 2nd on Tuesday, and normally we would be broadcasting live from the Aquilina Howell Center, but we are coming to you in a socially distanced endeavor via Zoom, which I'm sure everybody by now has become accustomed to. And with that, are there changes and additions to the agenda, Ms. Bowen?
Yes, Madam Chair. They are as follows. Item 1, 18.08, certification of applicants seeking pre-qualification for bidding LCSB construction projects. Replace documentation with the addition of Allstate Construction, Inc. Item 2, 12.06, Synovia Solutions software license agreement for GPS on district vehicles, reference only number 5598, replace documentation to reflect changes that were made. Item 3, 19.01, the superintendent recommends approval to advertise amendments to policy 6550, travel and per diem, and the repeal of policy 6423, use of credit cards, for a public hearing and adoption on July 14, 2020. The recommended action, public content and documentation, has been changed. Upon revising language in the correlating administrative procedure consistent with the proposed policy revisions, it was determined that additional directives needed to be placed in policy PO 6550, travel and per diem, and the added repeal of the obsolete policy PO 6423, use of credit cards. Leon County Schools uses purchasing cards per policy PO 6424, purchasing cards. Item 4, 12.06, Synovia Solutions software license agreement for GPS on district vehicles, reference number 5598. This item has been moved to consideration per school board chair Rasmussen. This is now item number 19.07. Item 5, add 1908 four-year technology lease purchase agreement 1-to-1. This item was added to expedite the procurement process. Number 6, add item 19.09, reopen Leon County Schools Task Force membership and meeting dates. The membership list was recently created. Item 7, 7.01, school board meeting minutes, May 12, 2020, add documentation. Editorial feedback was just received. I move the acceptance of these changes and additions, Madam Chair.
Second. Changes and additions moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Strickland. Without objection, show those changes and additions unanimously approved. And with that, we will officially start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Superintendent, Mr. Rocky Hanna. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
God,
liberty and justice. All right, so that was a little messy, but the intent was there. Sorry, some of us were muted, including our fearless leader.
Yes, I was.
So I was trying to follow your lips, but there's a sight sound delay. So, all right. Ms. McKinney-Williams, help me out. I'm trying to find the window that shows the actual agenda. Is it?
So your next item is 3. It's Superintendent Spotlight, 2019-2020 Student School Board Member, Apurva Srivastava.
Great, and we have AP here with us joining tonight. Mr. Hanna.
Madam Chair, hopefully now I'm unmuted. I apologize for that technical error. Apurva, I just wanted to take a chance to personally thank you for your leadership and the way you represented yourself and the other 32,000 students that are in our public school system. You were as well versed and well studied as a student school board member I've ever been around, to be honest with you. You and even in the beginning, you weighed in on lots of topics. Most of the time, student school board members aren't as well studied on some of these issues and are reluctant to say anything. I learned you're a strong advocate for yourself, and not only for yourself, but for all the students in the school district. And it's just been remarkable having you as a member of this board. Hopefully you've gotten as much from us as we've gotten from you. But in the meantime, I want to present you with this plaque. Dr. Gale will have it in her office tomorrow. And there's another presentation we want to give you. Dr. Gale, was Mr. Clark on this call, or are you going to talk about the other, what else AP is going to be awarded tonight?
Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Eric Clark, Director of the Foundation, is on the call. I have unmuted him. Or Mr. Clark, if you can take your camera off, can we see you? He's on the call. Mr. Clark, can you hear us?
All right, Dr. Gale, then why don't you just go ahead and tell AP what else he wins tonight?
Yes, sir. So on behalf of the Foundation for Leon County Schools, Executive Director Eric Clark and all of the members, they are presenting you with a scholarship. And that scholarship, as the superintendent said, will be held in my office. You can come and pick it up along with your beautiful plaque tomorrow. And that's just as an appreciation of all of your hard work as our student school board member.
So, Apurva, I think you're on mute right now. I don't know if you have the ability to take yourself off of mute and make some comments.
I do. Well, first of all, thank you for such a gracious gift. Scholarships are very, very appreciated, especially since I'm going to college next year. That's going to help me out a lot. And thank you for letting me serve this year. A year ago, when I heard the people who were running against me for this position, I was not very confident in my ability to get it. So I walked into the interview, and I guess it kind of helped me to be myself, because that I was going to project an image that wasn't me to try to impress everyone at the board. But once I saw who was running against me, I kind of just decided to go with who I was. And I guess you guys really liked who that person was. And now a year later, I hopefully get to see who the new student school board member is, and I hope to guide them on their new journey and how they can help and how they can be as effective as me. But I love serving on the school board, to be honest. I mean, it gave me a lot of opportunities to help out my fellow students. It gave me a lot of outreach, a lot of connections to be able to make programs or to help friends start programs that would benefit students, not only in my class, but classes that come after me. So I just want to thank you guys for letting me serve, and thank you guys for all the resources and people that you've put me in contact with.
Chair? Well, AP, you've been really through the ringer with all of us from the beginning with, dare I say, the bus debacle, and ending with the pandemic and your drive-in graduation. And you've shouldered this burden with us. You've really interjected yourself in of these issues, and you've made us very proud. I'm sure you've made Rickards very proud, and your family. I love having an opportunity to meet your folks, and look forward to seeing what great things you're going to do. I hope you'll remember us eventually. And, you know, we're just really, really grateful for your intellectual scholarship. You know, you've made us very proud that we can point to you as an example of the stellar students that we have in this district. And so, you know, we're just beyond words, or as Mr. Jones would say, deliciously proud.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I want to turn it over to my colleagues because I know everyone will have something to say, but at the end of the day, I want you to fill us in on what your future plans are.
So I am going to Dartmouth next year. My current plan is to major in something along the lines of political science and economics. Hopefully get into politics one day. But plans change, and
You might want to reconsider.
I don't know my future, but I hope to be along that path somewhere in the future.
All right, very good. Ms. Bowen?
That's great. Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. AP, I have to tell you that we liked you then and we like you now. So you need to know that first of all, okay? I appreciate the energy and the insight that you brought, and that swagger of confidence that you've always shown. I noticed immediately how you were able to come in and take a look at what was going on, or to have done the research that you needed, and to represent the students that you were elected or selected to represent. I'm so impressed with your having started the group that you introduced to us, I'm calling it the mentoring group, but that outstanding group of young men that you were, I'm going to say, tutoring, but to do that along with the courses that you were taking and still give back to the community, I think that you're on your way to being a great community leader and a great politician, if that's what you want to do, with whatever your choices are. Just remember that you got your start where?
In Leon County.
And the Leon County schools. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
You're muted.
Mr. Jones, if you'll hit your space bar, it'll unmute while you talk.
Madam Chair, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. AP, I'm very, very delighted about what I know will be your great success moving forward. As if I may echo Ms. Bowen, as a student representative, you are rare in that you have had a legacy of impact. And I would hope that we as a board and that the student advisory committee would continue to keep your project before us, that we as a district might continue down that path, and that we as a school board, as a district, and again, the student group would keep that before us, because it was certainly substantive, worthwhile, and that as the school year progresses, we will find that to be extremely resourceful and a benefit to our student body and to our community. So I wish you the best, and as I said at your graduation, I am certain that you are built for the road ahead, and for you, the best is yet to come.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I so enjoy that seat down at the end when I'm there, because I'm next to the student school board member, and I was only there for a short time, but it just really, I don't know, you just remember, it brings back our first board meeting. I know it brought back mine when AP joined us up there, and just, kind of the nerves and the uncertainty of what goes on, but man, you would have never known it about you, AP. You have a gift to, I would call it fearless. And that's something that's really going to serve you well as you move forward. People who speak their mind and, and conquer that fear, and you're not afraid to speak up. That's really a gift. I think not many people have. So we wish you the very best at Dartmouth. And I agree with Ms. Bowen. Don't forget where you came from, Leon County Schools. We did this. True. Yes, that's good to hear. And we want you to come back and visit us. So best of luck to you. We are blessed to have you with us for the year.
Thank you.
Right.
Ms. Wood?
AP, you very proud. Having graduated from the International Baccalaureate program is quite an accomplishment. And you have shown other students that not only you can maintain your studies, but you can also make a difference. And that's what you have done. You've made a difference on the board. You brought students to the board meetings. You And of course, the project that you did at NIMS Middle School with your tutoring and mathematics, that is the way students learn. We know that students listen sometimes better than to adults. And so I hope you started something that we can really continue into all of our middle schools. Every high school could do exactly what y'all did and adopt a middle school and help in math and all kinds of things. And the students really will benefit from that. So that's going to be your legacy, among others, I'm sure. But we're just very proud of you. Of course, I'm very proud of your political activism, and it's exciting that you might be one of our future. I don't have any doubt, actually, you are going to be one of our future leaders.
Thank you.
I really look forward to that. So thank you. And it was fun getting to sit by you. That's the one thing, when you get bumped down from the chair, you get to sit by the students. So that's kind of a nice reward in a way. So
yes,
thank you. And please send us.
I'm pretty sure it's a promotion. And if you get to one day give the commencement address at the, what is it they call it, the Old Pine Lectern at Dartmouth, we would like 5 seats, maybe 6.
Oh yes.
Of course. You'll be the first people to know.
That's great. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
As AP knows all too well, we must move on with our agenda.
Madam Chair, I move consent.
We have a report, 5.04.
Sorry.
Madam Chair.
Item 5.04 is the Reopen Leon Schools Task Force, but I thought I saw it down at the bottom of the agenda as well. Do we want to do it now or then, Mr. Superintendent?
Whatever your pleasure is. I was just going to say a few words, and then Dr. Gale would introduce the action item in for consideration. I mean, we can do it now or we can wait, whatever you'd rather.
Let's take it up when we get to the action item so we can vote at the same time, if that's okay.
Fine, perfect, good idea.
Great, thank you. So now that'll take us to the consent agenda. There's been a motion for the items general by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Bowen. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda general number 7 through number 17?
Madam Chair, I believe we need to ask if there's any persons to be heard.
Yes, I was going to do that when you, yes, you're on. Item 6 is persons to be heard, but there are no speakers.
All right, so since we have no speakers, there has been a motion and a second. Is there any objection to approving items of consent from number 7 through 17.04?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's show that consent agenda unanimously approved. That moves us to item 18. Are there any persons to be heard on that consent agenda for construction?
There are no persons to be heard at all, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion and a second on the items of consent, item 18 for construction, for which I will personally abstain just to avoid any appearance of a conflict with regard to my employment with the Associated Builders and Contractors, the membership therein having the opportunity to participate in some of our construction projects.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wood, second by Ms. Bowen. Any objection? Show it approved with 4 votes and 1 abstention. That takes us to items of consideration. 19.01, the superintendent recommends to approve for advertisement, travel and per diem repeal.
Ms. Banks, you want to quickly address this item before they vote on it?
Yes, good evening. Before you, we have modifications to our current travel policy. The major change to the travel policy is we're removing an outdated mileage chart and asking that travelers now use Google Maps or something similar to get a correct, accurate mileage when using for their mileage reimbursement. It's also removing a reference to an outdated policy that we actually have up for repeal, the reference to the corporate card. So this is reference to prior to when we had P cards, we used to have an account with American Express and we issued American Express cards, but we stopped that practice, I believe almost when we stopped using American Express. I think there was only 10 cards open So we went ahead and moved everyone over to using P cards. The last thing that the policy does is it clarifies who is eligible for in-county travel reimbursements, and then also creates denial authority of any travel reimbursements that would not adhere to, state travel statutes. The other item, as I said earlier, is the repeal of policy 6423, which is, again, the outdated policy that refers to the American Express cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Ms. Wood, second by Ms. Bowen. Any questions? Any concerns? If not, any objection to approval? Show it unanimously approved.
Madam Chair, that's going to be 4-0. Mr. Jones has
I'm sorry.
closed his camera. So we don't, and his sound is off. So we need to go with 4-0 for that vote.
Okay, thank you for the correction. Please reflect a 4-0 vote with Mr. Jones absent for this particular minute. Next, there are two items that are a settlement agreement. Or is there someone, Mr. Superintendent, that you want to explain?
I can, Madam Chair. I think the item summary pretty much speaks for itself. If y'all have any questions, I'll entertain there. This was a settlement agreement between Shannon Hare and Leon County Schools. Dollar amount is $13,000. If you have any questions about the item, I'll be happy to answer them.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wood, second by Ms. Strickland. Any questions, concerns? Any objection? Show it unanimously approved. Item 19.03.
1903, Madam Chair, is also a settlement agreement between Deborah Clayton and Leon County Schools for an incident that took place several years ago. This is a settlement in the amount of $17,500.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Strickland, second by Ms. Bowen. Any objection to this item? Show it unanimously approved. That takes us to 1904.
Yes, Madam Chair, we talked about this item briefly yesterday. Mr. Howcroft, I believe, is on the line. James, you want to add anything or say anything other different from yesterday?
Good evening. These meals, this purchase order was to purchase shelf-stable meals to serve to our students at our 16 school sites where we're currently serving meals.
Thank you for that quick summary. I think it's important for the public who can't see our backup to know what, just in general, what we're doing. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Move acceptance.
Second by Ms. Strickland. Is there a question? Ms. Bowen, did you have a question? Sorry.
No, I didn't.
Any objection? Show it unanimously approved. That takes us to 19.05. The Planning Commission.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Wood. This is the appointment of a staff member to the Leon County Planning Commission for 2020 through 2023. Any objection? No objection. Show that unanimously approved. That takes us to 19.06. This is an amendment to the 2019-2020 school board meeting calendar.
Second.
Sorry, Ms. Wood. Moved by Ms. Wood, second by Ms. Bowen. Any questions?
None.
Concerns? Any objection to this change? Show item 19.06 unanimously approved. It takes us to item 19.07. This is the Synovia Solutions software license for GPS on all district vehicles.
Yes, Madam Chair, we workshopped this issue quite extensively yesterday. It covers all of our white fleet and of all of our buses and transportation vehicles, so we can monitor, where our buses are in real time, where our children are, to give feedback to our parents. So this would kind of wraps everything up into one package with one company.
Just for those of you who may not know what we're talking about, our white fleet means the white cars or trucks and any that you see driving around town with the LCS logo on the side, not to be confused with our bright yellow school buses. So we're putting a GPS for tracking so that we know where our vehicles are, and it's a part of our prudence to take care of watching out for our inventory. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bowen, second. Any questions? Without objection, show that item unanimously approved. That takes us to item 19.08, 4-year technology lease purchase agreement. This is the big item for tonight. This is the new endeavor for, yay, we're very happy and excited about this. This will provide every one of our students with their own device
Yay.
I'll turn that over to the superintendent to explain more of the details, but suffice it to say that we workshopped this yesterday. We've been trying to get to this point probably for a number of years, but here we are. Mr. Superintendent.
We have, Madam Chair, and I'm proud of this. The 6 of us are about to do something very special tonight. This is a historical moment for our school system. We've talked many years now about moving one-to-one. Roseanne's been involved in those conversations. This is absolutely the right thing to do at the right time. And I'm just over the moon that we're going to actually pull the trigger. It's a bold step. And, and anytime you do something bold and you take risks, there are opportunities for things not to go quite as planned, but we've done a lot of research behind this. We've met with other districts from throughout the country. I'm going to let Justin Williamson and Bill kind of weigh in a little bit, answer any last minute questions you may have. But again, this is a historical moment for the Leon County school system. And I'm proud to be a part of it, as I know you all are as well. So Justin, you want to say a few words?
Good evening, board members, Mr. Superintendent. So this is for the lease purchase of 32,500 student devices, as you said, so 1 device for every student in kindergarten through 12th grade. It also includes an overage amount at 5% so that schools will have extra computers to issue to a student should one become damaged. They can always put a device back in a student's hand while it's being repaired. Because as we go forward, we recognize that these devices will be integrated into our curriculum and our instruction, and so it's imperative that students always have access to that device. As part of this agreement, we're also bringing in white glove service management, and so what that means is that there will be a company that will come in and they will handle all of our asset tagging. They will etch our devices for us. They will unbox them. And then deliver them to the schools, and they'll also be responsible for repair and maintenance of the devices throughout the 4-year agreement. And so they're actually locating in town. They're going to open a shop here in town to service our devices so that they will not have to be shipped out of the district. So we'll be able to get any repairs on those devices turned around very quickly. And so they'll run a courier service out to our schools. Once a week, they'll go to the school and they'll pick up any devices that's damaged. They'll take it to their shop here in town. They'll repair it. And then the next week on their go around again, they'll drop off any repaired devices and pick up any newly damaged ones. It's also including professional management services from on the technical side with integrating these devices into our network. And so that's also provided in this agreement, as well as charging stations for our elementary schools, so the devices are able to stay at school during normal operations and be able to be charged in the classroom.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate all the work. I know that there are a lot of questions. We workshopped this pretty extensively yesterday. Already this morning, I know many of you probably also received a lot of questions from parents and teachers, and what about the training and what about the content? Let's just remember, I think it's fair to say that these things are happening in steps. So the first step is this one, which is buying the actual devices for the students to use. And then the next phase of that will be determining the content that will make sure that all of our students are being served equitably across the district. And then there are questions about training over the summer, training for teachers, training for family members, training for the kids. What are we going to do? How's it going to work? So those are some of the questions that our task force will try to help us think about. And also our staff has already been working on. Obviously, we learned a lot from, there were some lessons learned from our very, very abrupt and fast pivot to going virtual on, I liken it to turning an aircraft carrier on a dime, or building an airplane while taking off. That's what we did. And we learned a lot of important lessons from that. What worked well, what didn't work so well, what could be better. And this is our next step toward better. And what I love about this is it's something that we've been talking about doing for a number of years. And we knew that this is the future. So this is not us going back to the old normal and that's what I really appreciate about this, is that this is where we need to be headed. I know, I'm old and I don't necessarily ever have any hope of getting caught up technologically, but our kids are born with it in their DNA and they expect this. So I just appreciate your leadership, Mr. Superintendent. The staff has worked tirelessly, I know, for the past 2 months, trying to capture every possible lesson we have learned and how to adjust it. And we're not finished. There's a lot of work to be done. That's why we have a task force we're about to talk about in just a minute. But this had to be done in time for us to have the devices in hand for the start of school, or prior to the start of school at the very beginning of August. So that's just my statement. And I want to turn it over. Are there any other comments or questions for any of the board members? Mr. Jones?
Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent, this is just phenomenal. And it's the first of what I know is going to be an enormous step in what I'd like to describe as the reimagining of our school district. And the fact that we've taken this opportunity to have what I know is going to be a long-lasting impact as we help our children to learn in new and dynamic and meaningful and impactful ways. And I'm just proud of my colleagues. I'm proud of this district. I'm proud of our superintendent and those who work with him who are making this possible for our kids. This is the type of ingenuity and innovation that inspires us all and makes us and knits us together and reminds us that we are indeed an A+ school district. So kudos to everyone involved. Kudos to my colleagues. And I just think this is going to be really, really phenomenal. I am also concerned about one thing. I would hope that we would take this, because of the amount of money that's going to be required for us to do this. We have seen, particularly from our colleague, Ms. Alva Strickland, with her professional responsibilities, there is, and what we've also seen from our own foundation president, Mr. Eric Clark, there is indeed an interest from our community to also be engaged in making certain that we provide our children with the types of platforms that will help to prepare them to be the best students possible. And I just want us to continue to follow that example and not take our foot off the gas in terms of engagement with our business community to help us to if I, for lack of a better word, as Shakespeare would say, gild the lily. I think we can add even more in terms of not just access, but variety of portals. There's going to be a whole lot of costs that will be associated with this that we will anticipate further down the line. And I would hope that that our foundation and others will be willing to engage our community so they can also be a part of this refashioning.
Ms. Wood?
I just thought I would jump onto what Mr. Jones just said, because I think there is a place for our business community to help us on this, because the first step is to get these devices in the hands of everyone. And I think the superintendent would be good if you explained even a little bit more, like you did with us yesterday, about insurance and those kinds of issues. But internet connectivity is another big hurdle for a lot of people. And I know you're working on that. And that's where our business community could really step up and help us, because it doesn't do you any good to have a device if you can't access the internet. And we know a lot of people can, but we also know a lot of people can't. And that's where we really, further the digital divide. So if you could speak to that a little bit, Superintendent, about what you're doing. And I just want to echo what my other colleagues have said so far. This is a great step. And I am glad you scrounged around and found the money to do it, because we do need to do it now. And it's going to improve teaching as well. Teachers have already learned a whole lot, like we all have. None of us knew how to do a Zoom meeting 3 months ago, and here we are. So I think it's going to change the face of teaching as well, because we now see how much more we can individualize instruction by using technology. And this is going to, everyone's going to be able to access it. So it's fabulous. Anyway, when everyone finishes commenting, I hope you'll give us a little more of the details for our parents to know sort of what to expect. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Ms. Bowen.
Yes. I just need to add my voice to the duet that has preceded me in expressing how important I think this purchase is, and how I think that it does move better learning opportunities and techniques. And I think that it would help us in ascertaining that no child is left behind. That I had a little bit of a concern about, particularly in view of thoughts that there are often some children that might be a little challenged in the learning achievement or the level at which they learn or the speed, that kind of thing. But I think the superintendent has already made certain that the necessary training and plans are underway so that teachers can reach these students as well. So I'm excited about it and look forward to it with all that's been said already. And I think that it is certainly a wave of the future. And we did a good thing, I think. Mr. Superintendent, you and your team, y'all have done a wonderful thing.
Ms. Strickland?
There's no I in team. It's us.
All right.
Ms. Strickland, did you want to add anything?
No, everybody's said it all. We talked at length about it yesterday, and I think this is, obviously a great thing for all the kids. We're doing a good thing here.
Great. Mr. Superintendent, per Ms. Wood's questions, did you want to highlight a couple of things that might make parents feel a little bit more comfortable, like the insurance for a nominal fee that you can have to cover the device if it's lost?
Sure. Yes, Madam Chair. First, did you say gild the lily?
Yes.
Who said that, Mr. Jones? I'm sorry.
Daryl said that.
No, Mr. Jones, who is the original source of the quote?
Shakespeare's the original.
And how did you learn about Shakespeare, Mr. Jones? Did you learn about
Uh-oh.
All right, inside joke. Sorry about that.
Well, he
Go
said
ahead.
two things that caught me off guard. One, he said, take our foot off the gas. And you know anything about Daryl, he's not going to take his foot off the gas. And number two, gild the lily. I have a new one. I'm going to have to Google. I'm going to have to get on the Google tonight and when we end this meeting and check out gild the lily. But yeah, we're gilding the lily. But yeah, this is the first step. We know we have a lot more work to do. Justin and Bill and that team and Jillian. This is the device is just the beginning. To make the monetary commitment is just the beginning. It's all the other things that are going to be on the device. I can have a nice, pretty device with nothing on it. It doesn't do me any good. So it's now us coming to common ground on a district-wide learning management system, loading cohesive content and comprehensive content onto that learning management system, getting it then out to our teachers so they can start playing with it over the summer sooner rather than later to give us feedback. And this is just like we talked about reimagining our school system. This is it. And to your point, Ms. Rasmussen, I think you said it. We started last year with Forward Leon with our early childhood initiative, our pre-K initiative. And this is just another piece of Forward Leon as we continue to move our school district forward. And this again is a very bold step and a bold move. And it's basically a $2.6 million commitment annually to support this effort, but it's gonna pay off in spades. And to your point, Ms. Wood, yes, we talked about a $25 insurance policy for parents. We know it's under warranty and we have a good, strong warranty. The computers and devices, and Justin, feel free to jump in, are going to be locked down to only serve it for educational purposes. They're going to be attached to our servers. You won't be able to download anything onto these devices. If someone tries to pawn it or someone tries to get rid of it, it's going to be etched with Leon County Schools. People will know this is a property of Leon County Schools. Also, if that does happen, we have the ability to shut them down just like that. So they will not, it'll be a dead computer. It won't be any use to anyone outside of our children. But with that $25, if it's damaged, just like you would with a phone, you have the option of buying the insurance policy. Thank goodness my daughter has gone through several phones and we had insurance. So I would encourage our parents for that $25 a year. It's well worth the investment to cover accidents in case the breaks. They will have gumdrop cases to help protect the device, but we can't protect it from everything. If a child's having a bad moment or brother's having a bad moment or whatever. But yes, that $25 would be an extra additional insurance. It's not mandatory, but it is recommended. In addition to that, though, we know we have a lot of work to do between now and August the 10th. We are completing a survey we're going to announce on Thursday. The two big components of the survey is, one, to get initial feedback can present to the task force as we continue to get feedback from our stakeholders, what the temperature is of our parents that if schools were to reopen in this fall, how many of them as of June the 2nd would feel comfortable putting their child on a school bus and sending them into a brick and mortar face-to-face instruction, and then which of our parents and families don't, maybe for whatever reason. Maybe they have elderly family member they're taking care of at home, they have underlying health conditions. For us to kind of get a gauge on that for staffing purposes, not locking anyone into intent right now. We'll do that later in the summer, but just gauge their initial feedback on where they are by school, so we understand by school where families are, and then that big issue of connectivity and how many of our families have connectivity, reliable connectivity, and then how many don't, and for us to then to devise a plan around those who don't, because they can, it's basically useless if we don't have the ability to access the content and the digital textbooks and all the digital tools that will be loaded on the computer, which will basically serve as textbooks for a secondary student. All their textbooks will be on that one device. So again, this is very exciting times. It's risky. And there's probably a reason why Leon County Schools didn't go down this path for years now, but it is absolutely the right time. But let's also be clear, this is not just in response to the pandemic it was the right thing to do, notwithstanding any pandemic. We should have done this even if we weren't sent home for the last 9 weeks of the school year. It's absolutely the right thing to do to moving our school district forward.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
At the same time, I'm also interested in, I know that there's, you and the staff have connected with a vendor who will provide us with a great rate. I also know prior to this pandemic, particularly in a number of our school sites, we were also dealing with an issue of technology for our faculty. And I wanted to know if, as a part of this same large purchase, might we be able to respond to what I know our faculty needs in terms of technology and software and devices, and perhaps we could make one fell swoop such that this investment is comparable for all who will be virtually engaged in both as students and as also for faculty.
Yeah, and to the point, you guys are faculty members. And I hear Ms. Rasmussen, we need to get you a device, right? Instead of whatever that nonsense is you have at home. So yes, to your point, Mr. Jones, we are going to build an image is going to go around, because we know, like for Rickards, we have 1,200, we have 600 computers that are 1 year old. And then we have 600 that are still in the box. So there's 1,200 devices right there that then we can send out to ensure that every one of our teachers has the highest levels of technology, and our school board members, right? So that we can continue these meetings with devices that can adequately give the results and the things we need to access. But yes, to that point, we will put those devices that we currently have in our inventory to good use, and the ones that we get out to our teachers and our faculty members. And then there also may be buyback program that we can get into to try to recoup some of the money we're about to spend. Justin and Jillian, do y'all want to add some? Jillian, you popped up. You want to add some things?
I want to ask a question as if I'm a parent, because I'm thinking if I'm a parent, I think I know the answer, but I want you to articulate better than I. So why would we go out and buy 34,000 devices when, let's just say roughly 3/4 of our kids already have laptops at home and they have their own devices? So why would we need to do it the way we're doing it?
Justin, do you want to jump on the device issue and then we'll talk about the instructional applications?
Sure, Ms. Rasmussen. There's a number of reasons for us to go out and purchase, this large quantity of devices. The first one is to ensure that all students have the same device and the same access to technology. Is certainly the first and most important one. There's also a device management component as well from the IT side of the house. IT really needs consistency in order to be able to manage this number of devices as well. And so those two factors really necessitate us,
And then we have many of the content. So we have these devices, but then we have the content that goes on the devices. And so in order for our students to have a consistent user experience with the content, we need to ensure that everyone has the same kind of device. As you can see, I think in yesterday, for those, you were having issues with an Apple product in Zoom. But PCs in Zoom, they're not having the same display issues. So what we don't want to happen is in an algebra class in the middle of instruction, a student to say, I can't see this, or this doesn't display that way. Or if we're retreating and we've gone home and we're 100% home and there's a different educational experience for students, that's what we're trying to guard against. The feedback that we have received from our community, it really has centered around creating a consistent user experience, in my opinion. Certainly we'll be providing everybody the feedback, but it's around, really minimizing the different places they have to go. I've got to go to 8 different places. It's really stressful. It's really hard. We've got to go to, we really want to hone down and create a consistent user experience. So on the mechanical back of the house kinds of things, that's the stuff that Justin's talking about when we're talking about support and device management. Having one type of device is really where we can go with the resources that we have as a district, personnel resources. But then on the curriculum side, we want to ensure that our students have a consistent educational experience regardless of their school. So in 1st grade or in 8th grade or in 10th grade or 12th grade, that by having this device, they interface in a consistent manner with other students across the grades in schools around our district.
So is it fair to say then that this little device will take the place of the 50-pound backpack?
It could. I think that there's a long process and a long road to get there. Some of our students and some of our families and some of our teachers really like those textbooks and write the textbooks, and that having that piece of paper and that book in front of them is really comforting. And so that's not what we're saying for August. What we're saying is that maybe one day, but where we are now is we're dipping where we're buying these devices. We're going to have some content for some blended learning. If we go home, we're going to have a plan forward when, if we're at 100% home or 50, whatever, we're all some home. But that the idea is that students will be able to access content online, will be able to do work, will be able to submit work, and they can do it face-to-face or they can do it from home. And with the connectivity piece, of course. And so ultimately, one day, maybe we'll get to a place where we're not carrying 50-pound backpacks. I don't know that we're there, to be completely transparent, in August. But maybe over time, we'll get there, yeah. And the idea is that we will add our textbooks into our platform, and we will give access, so yeah.
And we've spent a lot of money, on textbooks are off the chain expensive. And, with that, we know that if you look at the newspaper, paper products are obsolete these days. In reality, everything's digital online, but a lot of our kids with their devices, they couldn't access their digital textbook for whatever reason. It didn't support it. When we know that these Chromebooks will support, and Justin, maybe you can help me with their Google products or Google. You have to have the Google app to get onto the product, or what is it?
So they are a web-based device. It is a Google operating system, but essentially it is a web-based device, right? And so that's its primary purpose is to connect to the internet and browse the internet. Thankfully, the district has been working on this and has succeeded over a course of many years to pushing all of our student tools and resources and things onto the internet. And so everything that students do now, interfacing with any sort of instruction or textbook or curriculum resources, all of those things are online. Even all of our supplemental programs, computer programs that students do like iReady and STAR and AR, and all of those kind of tools are of course all delivered via the internet. And so these devices as primary web browsers will be able to do those things.
And I just wanted, Justin, yesterday you said that this very highly rated national company that we are contracting with is a minority-owned business. And I know that's something all our members on our board have really been hoping that we could get more and more vendors. So because that's exciting as well.
Sure. And so you'll notice in the agenda item, the company that we are contracting with, the company that we are purchasing the devices from is CDW. They are a national company. They're a very large company. In fact, they're probably one of the largest resellers of computers in the country. They do have 500,000 of these devices that are being delivered this week. CDW offers the Google management services through their engineers. They're going to provide that to us. CDW is subcontracting with another company called TIG that would offer the white glove services to us. And so we will be dealing with CDW. CDW will provide TIG to us. TIG is a nationally recognized minority-owned company. They are certified in that area, and they have won many awards, for their work in this area. They also are a company that we have seen in multiple other districts. So, as the superintendent said yesterday, several of us have traveled around. We've been to Virginia, we've been to Alabama, we've been to several districts within the state to research it one-to-one, over the years, looking into how things are working in other districts and kind of lessons learned from them. And TIG is a company that we run across quite frequently. And so this is not their first one-to-one, situation here. They are very familiar with this process and exactly what it's going to take for it to be successful.
So, Mr. Jones, you can report back to the chamber. We brought a minority-owned business to Tallahassee and Leon County and giving people jobs.
And are creating jobs. Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? This item is, Ms. McKinney-Williams, can you just briefly summarize for the listening audience what we're doing exactly? We're delegating authority to negotiate and so forth.
Yes, Madam Chair. As was discussed at great length yesterday, the timing of this, there's a very fast turnaround. As I think we all understand, this current pandemic has got a lot of districts, likely most districts across the country, looking for ways to kind of bolster up their distance learning and their one-to-one. So there are I think Justin just mentioned that this company has approximately 500,000 devices available, and we are looking to get about 33,000 of them. So time is really of the essence. And so district staff have been working very quickly to see how we can try to lock in these devices. We still do not yet have a written agreement in hand. So what we have is an agenda item that asks the board, the superintendent is recommending that the board authorize the board chair or vice chair and the superintendent to negotiate the terms of a 4-year technology lease purchase agreement for the purchase of the Chromebook and the other associated information or products that Justin talked about, to negotiate the terms, to execute the agreement, sign all related documents. And within the agenda item, there's an acknowledgement that the lease purchase agreement will contain the contract terms that we've got in our board procedure. There's some basic contract terms that we always require, that the lease purchase agreement will be reviewed by me, and that the lease purchase agreement, after it's signed and then sent on to the vendor so that we can lock in that number of Chromebooks, that it will come back to the board at the next board meeting for ratification.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
I would like to move that we provide the authorization as described by our legal counsel to permit you and the superintendent to negotiate on behalf of the Leon County School District the purchase of the software that we've described in this agenda item.
Second.
Hardware.
Second.
Contract to purchase or the lease, the hardware, right? Just to clarify. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, moved by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Wood. Are there any questions, concerns?
Well, if I may also add this before we vote. Madam Chair, as a veteran of our school district and our school board, most specifically, having aptly and ably served our district, I take great comfort in your moving forward. As we negotiate what is going to be a legacy project for our Leon County schools, I am certain beyond a shadow of a doubt that you and the superintendent will be able to bring us the deal that will have the greatest impact, not just for our students, but for our entire school district, so that we might be well served with this innovative.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Questions?
You're muted. You're muted, Madam Chair.
Huh?
Here we go. You are muted.
You were
Sorry.
muted.
I was asking you all to unmute yourselves. I would like a vote on this one.
Aye.
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 All right, so I hear no objection. Is that correct? All right, show the item unanimously approved. Thank you. That takes us to the reopening Leon County Schools Task Force, number 19, item 19.09. Mr. Superintendent.
Madam Chair, and also to your point, Mr. Jones, again, I said this yesterday, you have very capable counsel that is not going to allow any of us to enter into an agreement that's not a good deal, right? Opal's been fabulous doing this and working with Kim. So all of us together, especially those two minds, I'm sure are going to negotiate a contract that puts us in a place that we all expect to be. I'll make a couple of remarks and then I'll let Dr. Gale talk a little bit about the timing and the meetings and her thoughts, and then you can vote on the item. As we've been forming this Reopen Leon Schools task force, we've now solidified the membership. There are 21 members. I mean, great diversity. It's split white, black, male, female, just from people from Sachs Media, local colleges and universities, Whole Child Leon, our unions, Florida House of Representatives. I mean, it's just a really who's who of people. Y'all have done an outstanding job. And I know you weren't collaborating at all on who your nominees were, but you've really crossed many spectrums of our community here in establishing this task force. In the meantime, though, our work groups they're going to present to the task force have also, in addition to those 21 individuals, been working with Pay Center for Girls, Department of Juvenile Justice, Leon County Sheriff's Office, faith-based community members, foster care, Big Bend Community-Based Care Committee members, ties to Memorial Hospital Foundation, Leon County Department of Health, Disc Village, City of Tallahassee and Star Metro, Leon County Parks and Recreation, Tallahassee City Parks and Recreation, and a number of others, volunteer coordinator for Volunteer Florida. So in addition to these individuals, the current work groups that are happening now to then present to the task force have also engaged with those folks that are associated within the confines of and offer expertise in each individual work group. So they will present to the task force. The task force would then give other guidance and considerations for us, and then we'll nail down a plan that we will be able to hopefully roll out the first part of July. And the goal is to roll this plan out, and then after we roll the plan out after the July 4th week, to go back to our parents and say, okay, guys, here is the plan. Parents, now what is your intent? How do you feel given the plan? How do you feel about your child returning to school brick and mortar, or if not, still wanting a distance learning platform and digital learning? And then we staff along those lines, give those numbers back to our schools by July the 20th, which then gives them from July the 20th of quick turnaround to August the 3rd when teachers come back to finalize their master schedules, and then for us to also build a program for those families and students that wish to stay at home in distance learning environment. So there's a lot of work to be done over the course of the next, from now till we have 2 months, from now to August the 3rd when teachers come back. There's a lot, on many different fronts. But in the meantime, my staff, your staff is hard at it, working now, meeting with having these pre-meetings before the task force then convenes here later in the month of June. So with that, Dr. Gale, you want to add to anything I've said, and then y'all can take it up as an action item.
Mr. Jones, did you have a question to interject?
Yes, I am. I mean, I know we talked about this yesterday, and I'm not exact. I want to make certain that we still, as the work ensues, capture some things that we as board members are interested in this task force returning it to us in terms of information that would be provided them or through the workshop process. One of the things I'm most concerned about is what will be the fiscal implication of COVID-19. There's plexiglass concerns and markers and footprints and all those other types of things and then the spacing of desks and all of that. There are enormous fiscal impacts to this before we open our doors. And a part of what this task force needs to be prepared to recommend to us, or in cooperation with the leadership, with cooperation with the data that will be given to them by staff, what will be those fiscal implications? And I think that is information that my colleagues and I certainly would need to be equipped with as we make what will be long-term decisions about about what will be our student and faculty return to schools, such that we would make certain that all protocols are managed and met to ensure a safe return to our schools. I think that is one of the most important recommendations that comes from this task force.
Well, and in the meantime, to your point, Mr. Jones, some of these decisions and products had to be purchased now, like we just did with devices. That we couldn't wait until the end of June. We've made a large order of those plexiglass protection windows that you would see in a convenience store or at Publix now for all the offices in our schools and our district offices. So some of those things are already in play, but they will enter into the discussions that Dr. Cox and John Hunkyard will have in the safety and welfare part of the return. But some of those decisions had to be made and those products purchased. But yes, that will be a big part of the discussion as well.
And Mr. Superintendent, I can imagine. So one of the things, as you've already described as it relates to what was our previous agenda item, supply chain issues are an issue for us. And so I can imagine that everything will not be recommended by them, but I would hope that particularly when I look at the variety of persons who are included in our task force, might be able to provide some subject matter expertise that might be able to help to facilitate some of those matters, particularly as it relates to supply chain and be able to the securing of what we know are common necessities found across a variety of different institutions found in our community.
Right, and we know every school district, not only in the state, every school district in the country are after the same types of things. We know what we need, but it's a matter of executing and getting it there. So, Dr. Gale, you want to weigh in, and then we'll answer any further questions of the board?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Madam Chair, board members. Item 1909, as the superintendent indicated, is asking for your approval of the Reopen Leon Schools Task Force members as well as the meeting dates. We have a school board policy 9140, which deals with the establishment of citizens advisory committees, and that is exactly what this is. The task force will begin on Wednesday, June 17th, with the introductory and setting the I guess objective meeting, if you will. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the task force members will be involved in presentations from staff. Keep in mind, the superintendent has indicated that a myriad of people throughout the community with professions in the healthcare industry, FSU, FAMU, TCC, all of them have been involved, and other entities as well, because this is, we want to make sure that we're getting relevant information to guide us. On Thursday, June the 25th, the task force will convene and be able to start talking about the considerations that they have heard and begin that dialogue that Mr. Jones has talked about. Keep in mind, school board members, you will receive invitations to these meetings via Zoom. They haven't been set up yet because we're waiting for your approval, but you will receive invitations to the meeting so that you can hear everything. There will be a repository of information that task force members receive electronically that you will also, and the public, be able to review that information as well. Finally, on Monday, June the 29th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m., we are going to actually have a school board meeting workshop that deals with what the task force, Reopen Leon Schools Task Force, what they have established and what considerations they want to share with you. Are there any questions about the schedule?
Tell me about that very last meeting again.
Yes, sir. That should be 3:00 p.m. That's when there will be a, and I will make that change. I just saw it. I'm sorry, on Tuesday, June 30th at 3:00. It is correct. There will be a school board meeting workshop where the task force will report back to you on considerations that they want to share from the information that they have gathered, that they have learned from staff and such. Does that answer the question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I have a question. So you will be getting this information out immediately and notification such that these committee members can start to plan to attend. You perhaps said that and I missed it, but.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Bowen, I did. This item had to be approved before I could send it out. We'll also be notifying or noticing this in the newspaper so that the public is aware as well.
Okay. I was going to ask about public notification.
Ms. Wood.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Gale, are people who want to hear these reports and hear the discussion in the public going to be able to do that? I know a lot of people probably would like to hear all this work that's been done by the district groups and so forth. Is that going to be possible?
Ms. Wood, that will be possible. This information will be shared just like the school board information. It will be on our webpage. We'll make sure that of course, it'll be in the newspaper. Yes, ma'am, it will. And we'll make sure that our schools also send out the information via their listservs.
So I assume it's going to be on Zoom. Does that mean that people can listen in how are they going to be able to do that, to actually listen and hear and see the work of the task force?
Ms. Wood, that's an excellent question. So they can call in to the Zoom meeting as well as watch the Zoom meeting on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and also on our webpage so that they can see and hear.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? I think I want to echo the superintendent's comments. We didn't have much time other than in public meetings to kind of kick around who we thought we might be appointing when we had to still coordinate getting people to commit. And I think that it is a really nice cross section of the entire community. So look forward. I'm particularly grateful to the folks who accepted my appointment. I know you all are as well. And so we look forward to their great input and we appreciate them. So with that, is there a motion to accept?
So move.
There is, Madam Chair.
All right,
move the acceptance.
Second by Ms. Bowen. Any objection? Hearing no
None.
objection, show it unanimously approved. Great. That takes to item 20. I don't think there's anything under information. The financial statements are only under information, nothing for, are there any under 22 superintendent's comments? Did you have anything to add, Mr. Superintendent?
Briefly, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to thank you all for your support of and attending the driving graduation ceremonies last week. I was over the moon the way things turned out. Somebody was watching out for us. I mean, the weather, that Tuesday night, Godby graduation ceremony, and then one of the Rickers, the Rickers graduation ceremony too. It was like dark clouds all around us, but the good Lord kept it clear over the Tucker Center. And all in all, I just think the kids had a wonderful experience. I know John Hunkyar shared a moment with me. I probably told you this individually, but at Child's graduation, he was standing and to my staff, I'll be forever grateful. I mean, that was a Herculean effort. A lot of organization. We did a lot of work from Easter Sunday through to last week to pull that thing off. And then had to have the radio station involved and Ashley Pyrotechnics to donate the fireworks. I mean, it really was a cool event, almost to the point where I had people leaving, hey, can we do this again next year? I'm like, no, maybe, hopefully not, but glad you
Maybe not.
John Hunkyar was standing by a car of a Child's high school senior, and and I'm sure there were many other cars that had this similar moment. The father was in the driver's seat. His daughter, who was a graduate, was in the front passenger seat. The mother was in the back, along with a younger brother, sibling. And when Principal Burgess told the young lady to turn her tassel, the father is right there, just staring at his little girl, and had tears all in his eyes. I mean, it was really cool. I mean, most of the time the parents are up at the Civic Center, they don't know where you are, and the kid doesn't know where the parent is, and they're looking around. But to have that intimate moment right there with your immediate family for all its faults, that was pretty cool. So I thank you guys for your support and help us making this happen, and your words of encouragement to our seniors was absolutely amazing. I will never follow Daryl Jones again at a graduation ceremony. We had to pass the collection plate through the parking lot, and they couldn't let the windows down to give the money, and so it turned into a thing. But thank you. And again, and also Thursday night we are going to do a night of celebration through Zoom, and we'll have it on Facebook Live. And we're excited to recognize our teachers, our instructional staff, support staff, and our retirees for all that they have given to support of Leon County Schools and our mission. So we will Facebook Live on Thursday evening, and then I'll leave you with this. Tonight, when you go to bed, when you're laying in bed, when you close your eyes, I want you to imagine a child on the first day of school or walking home with a computer, and the child may have never in their life ever imagined actually owning a computer. And for them to have something to take home and say, look, mommy, look what I got at school today. I have my own computer that I can do my work in at home. And that in and of itself, I mean, just that visual of the child who otherwise never would dream of owning a computer, it would be like Christmas to them. And that's why I think it's so important what we're doing tonight and in the days and weeks to come as we continue to move Leon County Schools forward. And I'm proud and thankful for you all and all of your advice and input. And we always agree. We're right. We always don't agree. We can agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, all six of us are doing the very, very best we can to provide for every one of the 32,000 students we teach every single day. And I'm just very thankful to you all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Ms. Wood. You're unmute.
Okay. I think Mr. Jones had his hand. Do you have your hand up too, Mr. Jones?
I'm glad for you.
Okay. Well, you just, I don't know if it can be said enough how cool the graduation was. And I know I was one of the doubting Thomases at first. I was worried about like the bathrooms that people were going to get out of their cars. And y'all did so many innovative things, including the little paddle out of the window and the golf carts to come pick them up. And
yeah, that was nice.
People just, followed the rules for almost, really, they did really well. And something that I haven't seen mentioned in the press, but I thought was extraordinary, is that you had those rental cars across the front row for any person who didn't have an air-conditioned car to be in. And I just thought that was one of those extra touches that showed the humanity of the school system and the humanity of you and the staff, that you really tried to take care of everybody so they could have a good experience. And I thought that was one of the coolest things, actually, having those rental cars there for anybody who needed it. So kudos and hats off.
Well, and a lot of that was getting feedback from you guys, and when we did have a handful of families that the split families just could not get in the car together, there were some issues. Not very many. It was less than 10. It wasn't a big issue, I know. So, but we made accommodations along the way. And that was one of the, and we actually at the Ricker's graduation, I noticed some windows down. I went to the car and I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And they said, we're about to run out of gas. We didn't think about getting gas. So we immediately got them out of our car, got them in one of the rentals where they could turn the AC on. But yeah, making those accommodations for those folks who otherwise wouldn't have attended but it was getting feedback from you, getting feedback from the Department of Health, from the hospitals, and from others that kind of crafted what the event was going to look like, and what work would it take on the front end to accommodate everyone.
Okay, Ms. Bowen, and then Mr. Jones.
Well, yes, we've been talking about task forces and work groups. Is there a plan underway that we will start to think about moving back to the Aquilina Howell Center by September? Just want to put that out there, since everybody else might be coming back.
Well, I think that's up to you guys. And I mean, Ms. Bowen, I love you. I love my mama, and I don't want you getting sick. So if you feel safe,
I am
socially distanced. I think I'm ready when y'all are ready. So whatever to make accommodations, we'll do that. But you just let us know, okay, and we'll make it happen.
Right. No, I'm not suggesting we rush it at all, and I appreciate it. It's very comfortable and accommodating, and we've gotten accustomed somewhat to Zoom. I just didn't want anyone to think that we needed to rush it. That was it. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to join Ms. Wood in her commendations to our superintendent. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
It was
wonderful to be a part of. I appreciate the staff and its accommodation of me. I had two godchildren of mine who were graduates, and so I was able to witness more than just Rickard's graduation. And it was just the esprit de corps that was present is just, it was palatable, and it was a wonderful experience. I'd also like, as a part of my new concern or observation, to acknowledge our wonderful community. I continue to watch the recent broadcast of the Best and Brightest, which is annually done by our local chamber and the Sachs Communication Firm and Envision. And that moment with Laura Rogers and others is indicative of what I know have been the creative responses found by stakeholders in our community in serving our children and our students and faculty. And I just wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge how so many stakeholders are involved in the work in cooperation with the district staff, principals, faculty, at our different sites, whether it be food services, clothes giveaways, whether it be the formal acknowledgement of our stellar students at Best and Brightest with Laura Rogers and others and Ron Sachs. I just am so proud of our community because we have not lost, we are continuing to make the main thing as a community. And that is our children. And I'm just really, really proud of all of my neighbors. I get full when I think about it. The folks at Second Harvest, you just can't put that contribution into words. And then our own staff, Mr. Hallcraft and others, and Dr. Gill and everyone. But it's that.
Yeah.
So although we have had enormous setbacks, there have been enormous gains in the way that we as a community have rallied together to serve our kids. And although they've lost a lot and been inconvenienced, this community has tried to do its best to impart to them that they are indeed loved and that they matter. And I just want to thank our community and show my gratitude for what they are doing for our school district kids.
That is a
ditto.
beautiful note to end on, unless anyone else has anything for the order. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, Madam Chair. To coat with gold, gild the lily. I love it.
No, he didn't.
My mother used to say that all the time.
Make something better than it already was.
That's
all right. And with that, Ms. Strickland, moves we rise. Thank you all.
And so we shall. Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Good night. Night, Elizabeth.